Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Exotic Astrology. And today we shall discuss, in short, about the transit of Venus, which will happen in the sign of Cancer by end of this month, or it's in the last degrees almost of Gemini, and it's about to enter Cancer. Therefore, Venus has now crossed one sign after the retrogression. It was in Taurus for a very long time, and now it crossed over Gemini, and now it's entering Cancer, right? So if you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to it below. And if you want a consultation from me, then you can go to my website down below. And yes, God is there with you all the time. Just look to Him and you will find Him. So what is the sign of Cancer actually? You have to understand what Cancer represents. Cancer represents the fourth sign actually. Now you may be thinking, oh yeah, we already know it's fourth sign, but what's sign number 4 actually? It is the first Kendra actually after the trine. So 1, 4, 7 and 10. Okay. And Kendra houses are very peculiar houses. Kendra houses give us challenges, but they also give us the power to overcome them. So therefore, and Cancer is the first water sign also. So now, water signs are generally, if you see, water signs and vulnerability, they do not go well together sometimes, okay? Which means the Kendra houses can make us a bit vulnerable sometimes. And especially, Cancer can have a very unique flavor in that. So, why do I say the Kendras can make us a bit vulnerable sometimes? Because when we are facing external challenges, which are the Kendra houses, we are also developing inside as a person. At the same time, the extent to which we are able to deal with those external changes or external challenges will largely depend on our internals actually. What is our situation inside? So if our situation inside, which is our mind, our universe, our inner psyche, our thought process, our spiritual progress, if these things are not balanced, if we are not harmonious from within, then what happens is it becomes difficult for us to handle the challenges which we get from outside. So therefore, if you want to handle challenges externally, first is we should strengthen ourselves internally, emotionally, mentally, psychologically. And everybody has a psychophysical nature. Depending on that, you have to decide which areas you should take care. And now when we come to Cancer, we see it's a Kendra house, but it's also a water sign. So therefore, whenever a planet transits Cancer, the houses which that planet rules. So for example, if you are a Capricorn ascendant, then Venus, now because Venus is transiting, so we got to check Venus. So Venus rules your 5th and the 10th. It's a Yoga Karaka actually. And in that case, something to do with the 5th house and the 10th house, as an example I'm saying, you will be exposed to some of the vulnerabilities which these houses can bring in. Okay, so 5th house can show children, or 10th house can show your career or name, fame, status, whatever it is, depending on your dashas. So you can feel that you have some challenge externally, but you have tried so many different things to do them, or to solve them, or to get through them, but it's not happening for you. Why? Because now you are getting exposed to some of your inner vulnerabilities. And that's why in my experience, when I do consultations, I've always seen that the 2nd house, the 7th house and the 11th house, these 3 houses are known as the houses of marriage. 2, 7 and 11, they give us marriage. And if we are already married, they give us a good married life. But the 4th house, 5th house and 9th house, these 3 houses are very crucial actually. because the fourth house can expose our vulnerabilities, and the fifth house and the ninth house can, the fifth house is the house of practice actually. So fifth house can help us to practice and get over our vulnerabilities, which the fourth house can give. And ninth house can give us divine guidance from the guru, from the seniors, from coaches. So by that we can overcome weaknesses. So now the thing is, therefore I have seen, if a person does not have a good second, seventh or 11th, but has a good fourth house, fifth house, ninth house, their lords are well placed, or the karakas of these houses like Jupiter, Moon and Venus, if these three are well placed, then the person, even though married life may not be great, but the person makes the use of the best use of a bad bargain, as they say. So therefore you should check your horoscope, the houses which Venus rules in your chart, and depending on your ascendant, not moon sign, sun sign, and then you can check what are the areas which you feel you are vulnerable about, because Cancer, as I said, is the first water sign. So what does water signs do? They can create a mismatch between internals and externals sometimes, which means that you might feel that there is a certain issue coming up in your life which you need to solve. Okay, and when do you get this urge? Actually, within the last days and the first 1 or 2 days of September, you will face this. Okay, so you'll get a feeling that, because then the sign change is happening, okay, by end of this month, August, and beginning one day, maybe 1 or 2 days, you will feel around that time of the Bhadra Purnima, which is on 2nd September, you will by default feel that there's some change which you need to undergo in your life. It's like whenever the planet changes a sign, it's like they say it's like the snake shedding its skin. It's like that. So that change, you will feel that it is coming into your life. Either you will feel that I only should go and make the change, or some change has come automatically, which you have to accept within yourself, and you have to realize that now it's high time that I have to make this change. But then when you want to do it, then there are certain voices inside you which will tell you, but if you do this and then this happens, what? So all these different pros and cons, could come in your life, and that might overwhelm you a bit, okay, when Venus transits Cancer. So therefore Venus transiting Cancer is a very good time to accept the fact that we are all vulnerable from inside. And many times people tell me about this is about relationships also, that, oh my dear sir, I have been cheated by another man or another woman in my last relationship, and I am totally shattered, I am devastated, I cannot trust anybody, or people have just left me, dejected me, they have thrown me into the dustbin, like as if I'm like some object, they have used me and they have kicked me out of their life. And now the problem is, I cannot be vulnerable in front of anybody. I cannot love, because to love somebody you have to be vulnerable. You have to be able to expose your weak points internally in front of others. If you cannot do that, then you may be able to love the other person, but the other person may not be able to love you. And if the other person cannot love you, then you also cannot love that person fully. So it's counterintuitive actually. So therefore you have to understand that whenever if something wrong has happened with you which prevents you from being vulnerable, then you have to understand that that was a part of my own karma, and that was a part which has gone. But that does not mean that is like a death sentence, life imprisonment, okay? Because just because one person or 2 or 3 has done that to you before, it doesn't mean everybody is like that, okay? So if you take it in matters of career, even then you might have had some bad experiences with some bosses or with some of your colleagues, and they might have done something which you may not have appreciated. but it doesn't mean that everybody is like this. So this transit is very important because this can teach us how to be vulnerable in life actually. And vulnerability is very important because that is actually who we are. Because in fact, I was in this Lakshmi Narsimha temple 2 days back in South Germany here. Amazing place. So there I was seeing that this 5-year-old boy Prahlad Maharaj, he was sitting on the lap of Lord Narsimdev, and I was thinking, my God, what a personality this 5-year-old boy is. You know, his father Hiranyakashipu tried to kill him so many times, but and Srimad Bhagavatam explains there was not a single moment when Prahlad was fearful of his father. You know, so can you imagine that he was in such a vulnerable situation externally, yet he was not feeling he was not feeling any fear or anxiety within. Why? Because he was always connected to Lord Vishnu. So therefore, now we are not at the stage of Prahlad Maharaj, because our mind is a what do you say? It's like a storehouse of fear, anxiety, insecurity, you know, doubt, skepticism, all these things. So therefore, we should also take shelter of great personalities like Prahlad, so that although they were externally vulnerable, but they were internally very strong. But our problem is sometimes opposite. We are externally everything is very nice, you know, there is no vulnerability, maybe sometimes, but most of the times we are vulnerable inside. All right, so therefore we can read the Srimad Bhagavatam, and many of you have messaged me that after seeing yesterday's video you have decided to donate Srimad Bhagavatam to somebody. Good to know that, and I will also be making some donations for Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's very auspicious. You can do it, and this story which I am telling you will find in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. All right. So the lesson for this transit is be vulnerable, be open, and don't shy out from being who you are. Because if you do that, then even if you win the race, it's like this, you know, operation successful, patient is dead. So what is the use of winning by, you know, pretending to be somebody else? You won't be happy in the long run. Okay, so the houses which Venus rules in your chart, they can undergo this flavor. Okay, and what that is and what could happen, that depends on your dashas and your horoscope. All right, as usual, if you're new, then please subscribe below, and for consultations my website is down below. God is there with you all the time. Just look to him and you will find him.